How much of a factor does your physical health play into your mental health?
What's our plans for the future? Your plans for the future?
There's one piece of advice you could give to everyone in the world. What do you think it would be?
This is Spitballin with Colin.
Hello. We're back. Episode 3, Spitballin with Colin. We have another awesome female guest this week. She is a very important member of one of the most important CrossFit companies in the world. She's a very important member of my friend group. And we have a lot of big future plans together. So let's get right to it. Welcome, Kayla Murphy.
Hello, what an intro. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on the podcast. This is my first podcast.
That's exciting.
So if I mess up to the people of the world, I apologize.
You won't. Figure yourself. Everybody will love it.
All right, I'm excited.
All right. Kayla, just tell us about your upbringing. I know it's like a small town vibes.
Yes.
Kind of like, what was that like? How many people you go to school with? Do you play any sports?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in a tiny little town called Mendon. Known for the Mendon Twin Drive-In. If you've never been to a drive-in movie theater, only one in the country. So tiny little town. How many people did I graduate with? I think I had 180 people in my graduating class.
That's pretty good.
I grew up, so I have one brother. Interesting family dynamic because my mom's side is Jewish. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Jewish culture, it's very much like Italian, loud. You walk in the room, everyone knows each other's business. We have a running joke that my mom can't keep secrets, and all of the aunts know all of the cousins, who they're dating, all that stuff. So that was my mom's side. My dad's side, super Irish. So things are swept under the rug. People don't talk about anything. Mm-hmm. So really interesting kind of dynamic in my household. But yeah, that's just short and sweet, I guess. Kind of moved to the South Shore, Boston area, which is obviously very different. So yeah.
Do you think there's any big impactfulness of growing up in a small town like that, or just from that interesting family dynamic?
Yeah, I would say that growing up in a small town definitely made me want to move to the city. Mm-hmm. I wanted to live in New York City for the longest time, which obviously didn't come to fruition. But I think with the family dynamic, I'm a little bit of both sides. I'm a little bit of my mom's loud side and a little bit of my dad's very reserved side. I don't know how much it affected kind of my trajectory, but more so my personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a bubbly personality.
Thanks.
All right. First spicy question.
Okay.
So Mendon is probably historically very whitewashed town, I guess, per se.
Yes.
So, does that lack of diversity, does that play a role? Does that make you want to integrate people more, whether it's from, luckily for you, you had Jewish, which I guess is considered a somewhat minority.
A little bit.
It's a lot less voodoo than it used to be.
Yeah.
But how did that affect you in any way? Does that make you more outgoing, or you're just naturally outgoing and you? Yeah,
I think that, so Mendon is definitely super whitewashed. We had probably 2 people who weren't, white in my graduating class. Mm-hmm. It makes me so interested to talk to people with different backgrounds. Mm-hmm. I know you've talked about it on your last podcast, but just growing up kind of with that sheltered background, I just love hearing people's kind of stories of their different childhoods. Mm-hmm. And I think it's come to a really interesting spot where I'm lucky enough to have diverse friends now, and just, sometimes I guess taking a step back and saying, hey, what's your perspective on this? Mm-hmm. Because I think it's really easy to get caught up in our own perspectives, and especially coming from that place where we're raised in a non-diverse community. And I'm, so excited to kind of, I know we've talked a lot about kind of integrating and including diversity and kind of our plans moving forward, and just give people opportunities that maybe haven't been there for them in the past.
Yeah. And the value. You touched on that lightly, but just other people's value of upbringing and
Totally.
Like, wow, that's crazy. Like, you're so strong, resilient. Like,
Right. Yeah, I think too, you know, for however much we're different, we're also, like, everyone's obviously so similar at the base.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of, you know, especially when, like, the Black Lives Matter stuff was going on, that I did think a lot about, like, you know, being Jewish and what happened, you know, not even, you know, 100 years ago with the Holocaust, and, like, those things, you know, those injustices are kind of universal to a lot of different groups in different ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's crazy. But I think we're moving the right direction as a whole.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it's gotten a lot better, but there's still a lot more to go. I have a lot more to learn myself too.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, always.
It's so, like, it's so tough. It's so tough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's any fault of our own. I think we can probably, like, go out and become better at it, but it's just, like, it's not really taught to us in schools.
No,
like,
it's not.
I was a small town person too, and
Yeah.
it's just, like, it's so, not voodoo, but it's like no one mentions it. Like, it's just, we learned white men history. We learned there's so many other people out there, so many other stories to be told out there that just aren't heard. For
sure. And I don't know about you, but we were only taught until, like, up until, like, the 10s. Like, we didn't even make it into the modern era.
Yeah.
So there's so much that I'm still blind to.
Yeah, you had to take a special class for that.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah.
Crazy.
It is. All right, so moving on.
Yep.
Small town high school, we graduate. We go to Bryant University.
Yes. Go Dogs.
Yeah, go Dogs. Very well established, you know, university in a small town of Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Which is basically Mendon 2.0.
Yeah. What was that transition like? Was it tough? Was it easy? Was it fun? Like, some of the takeaways you got from maybe your first couple of years, and did it change in your latter couple of years there?
Yeah, for sure. So I was definitely in shock my first, like, you know, first year, first time away from my family. The good thing about Bryant is that it is a relatively small school still. Like, I don't know that I would have survived in, like, a UMass Amherst. So small business school, met obviously some of, like, my best friends in the world the first year in college. But I think there's kind of a pivotal turning point for me, probably my, like, late sophomore year, where I really was like, okay, starting to figure out what I liked. You know, I loved marketing, I loved fitness, and that really shaped, like, that last year. So I actually graduated in 3 years. Ended up, like, just taking as many classes as I could those last few semesters, with the goal of, like, you know, hey, let's see what we can do. Let's see, like, what our potential is, where we can go. But I think, college is a weird time.
That's exactly what I was just going to talk about.
It's a weird time.
I just think it's so weird. Like, especially the first year, I think it's so hard, and for me, it was never talked about. So it's just, like, mentally it was so challenging.
I mean, they put you in a room with a complete stranger. You're sleeping in a twin bed next to this person. And I mean, you're just, like, ripped away from your life for a little bit. But you had baseball too, so that's different.
I did have baseball, which was nice. I mean, obviously that's scary too, but once you're on a team, now you at least have people you can recognize around campus.
Exactly. And I think that I was kind of missing that. So in high school, I played sports. I played field hockey and basketball. Wasn't very good at either of them, but at least there was, like, a little bit of a team dynamic, and you did have, like, those people. But in college, you know, I didn't have that. So, but it definitely, like, it makes you grow.
Oh yeah, it's huge growth.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the age.
Yeah.
Like, it's you're 18 and now you're an adult and now you're transitioning, or if it's actually, like, college. Just probably a little bit of both, but
probably, yeah. I mean, like, and also too, like, going back to the different backgrounds, you're meeting people from completely different backgrounds, which helps. Yeah, for sure.
So you graduate, you get a job at Noble. Is that your first job out?
Yes.
How did you land that? How did you come to that, and how did you come to CrossFit, I guess?
So CrossFit started for me right before my last year of college. Basically, I was super out of shape and was like, I need to do something. Started CrossFit, was obsessed with it. Funny, so when I graduated, was looking for jobs, and I really wanted to work for Reebok, or, like, a Nike or something of the world. And applied, and every single door was no. And I'm a big believer in, like, everything happens for a reason. I think that no matter what you believe in, I think the universe kind of has a path for you. So I was like, okay, this is annoying, but there's something out there that's going to be like even better. So Noble at the time was probably like a 7-person company. And I knew obviously they were super involved in fitness and CrossFit, but at the time we're very much the underdogs, like couldn't say CrossFit, but it was very much, it was functional fitness, it was CrossFit stuff. So I applied there for an internship for customer service. Actually, to go back a few steps, I applied for a job for customer service, got denied for that. And then I was like, okay, let's try the internship. And basically I was literally tweeting at them being like, hey guys, like so excited to talk to you. Like just super scrappy. Yeah. Our now CMO was like, he was literally the one at the time answering the Twitter messages, which is so funny. And I was like, honestly, like I don't want to do customer service. I really want to do marketing, but I want to get my foot in the door because this is a really cool company.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how it started, and then just went from there.
So were you number 8 or were you number like?
I don't know if I was actually number 8. It was like in that like 8 to 10 range, I want to say.
Which is crazy because now you guys are close to the CrossFit Games. You have how many employees now?
Like over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember my parents at the time being like so nervous, they were like, startups fail all the time. They were like, who is this company? Like, also like, what is CrossFit? And I was like, it's fine. Like, this is now's the time to take a chance in my life.
Oh yeah.
So you're welcome, Mom and Dad, that it worked out.
Like now I'm at such a, nobody knew. Well, I guess maybe they, like whoever created it probably thought it, but.
I think that's the thing is like every founder thinks that like, they have belief, but you never really know. Like, to this day, you still don't know if you have a job tomorrow. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Stumbled upon a pot of gold.
Yeah, seriously. I got lucky.
So how quickly did you start coaching or pursuing coaching of CrossFit? Like after you started CrossFit, you said in college you started it. Did you instantly know you wanted to be a coach, or after a couple of years you just kind of fell in love with that?
Yeah, I think... So I had a few like really influential coaches. I still, to this day, MC Alexander, that was her last name, like literally took me under her wing. This woman, I remember my first CrossFit class, we were doing tire flips, which I've never done a tire flip to this day. Like it was literally just the first time I ever did CrossFit, and I was like, oh, this is it. And so I had a few influential coaches like that, and I just remember like having this feeling of like, oh, I really want to do this for someone else. But I didn't start coaching until actually like 3 years ago. So that would have been, let's see, like 3 years into my CrossFit journey, I want to say. So I think the big thing for me and for a lot of other coaches out there is, kind of being like, I'm not the best athlete. And I had a lot of like trepidation around, how am I supposed to coach someone how to do muscle ups if I don't have a muscle up? At the time, it was like pull ups. And I had a few coaches at that time that were like, hey, you do not need to be the best athlete in the room. Like, you just need to help people move better. So finally, like, decided to actually just be like, okay, let's just try this. And I was so lucky to, be at a gym at that time where the owner, like, literally, like, I was in an internship program for, like, almost a year, taught me, like, top to bottom how to coach, how to do a lesson plan, and I think, like, really, like, better quality coaching than what a lot of other coaching out there was. And then I just remember, like, my first day actually coaching a class, obviously you're so nervous, but I mean, you know me, I'm the biggest nerd, so I literally, like, studied my lesson plan so much, like, literally had it memorized. I was joking, to this day, I, like, practice any jokes I'm gonna say in class, because I'm like, I need to, like, have this in my head beforehand. And, I mean, I think everyone sucks when they start, is the thing. Like, you can't expect to be good. But trying the best that I can to kind of get better every day, I guess.
I mean, you've leveled up almost 3 times now.
Almost.
To CrossFit level 3.
Yeah,
it's like a pyramid, essentially. CrossFit level 1 is very easy to get. CrossFit level 2 is a little harder. And if you get to level 5, which is your goal.
Level 4, I think.
You want to stop at level 4?
Well, I think 4 is the highest level.
I thought there was CrossFit level 5.
Maybe there is a level 5. I don't know.
Whatever the
It's
highest
above
level
me.
is, there's like a handful of
Kiana's saying 4.
people. Thanks for the peanut gallery in the back. All right. Well, you want to essentially be the highest. Like
Yeah.
Your goal is to get to the top.
Yeah, of course.
Which is, I mean, in 3 years, you're almost a level 3. How many hours do you have left before that?
I have like 109 more hours or something,
Yeah.
which hopefully we'll get there. So I'm on track to do that by June 1, which is exciting.
That is.
Yeah.
So, spicy question number 2.
Okay.
Your personality, you're always happy-go-lucky, bubbly, like you're just your class is always fun, you play good music.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, how do you like pep talk yourself up to be like that? Because, I mean, I could just be spitballing.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, obviously there's some times where it's like, I don't want to go coach a class. I don't want to go coach this
Oh my
baseball
God.
game because, I'm tired. It's like, but every time you're, without fail, you're like
Yeah.
in a good mood. And like, how do you work through that? What are your steps to just like always, put your best foot forward?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, because I really try to make it fun, and sometimes I'm like, it's really hard to gauge. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I think we all have the days, obviously, where it's like, I just, especially being a part-time coach, this too,
Yeah.
like working a full 8 or 9 hours and then going to the gym afterwards and being like, I could have just had the worst day at work, but I need to turn it on for these people. I don't know if I necessarily hype myself up. It's more just I think I just genuinely love it so much that I joke about this all the time. I'm not a good public speaker, but when I'm coaching, I'm not nervous to public speak, which tells me that I'm kind of on the right path.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie to you, I definitely put pump up music on in the car. My gym playlist is playing in my car. And I think the biggest way to overcome nerves with that stuff, as you know too, is being so freaking well prepared, knowing every in and out, what's every question that someone could ask me on this. And then once you have that confidence in knowing that you put the work in, you kind of almost get into this flow state of okay, now I can field the odd questions.
Yeah.
I can have a good time while doing it. But there are definitely days where it's hey, that wasn't the best class, but you learn from it, you move on.
Yeah. I mean, no class can be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, being prepared, I forget the quote, but it's preparation is most of the battle.
Oh.
There's something about confidence preparation.
Yeah.
Once you're prepared, you're confident in it.
Right.
So,
It's like Tom Brady, when he steps onto the field, the work is done.
yeah.
Yeah. You're not going, if you're going out there and you feel like you have more work to do, then it's not going to go well.
Yeah. Which is and it's that flow state feeling you said. It's just
Right.
almost an at ease. It's I've done all the work, just trust myself and I'm ready to handle any situation.
Exactly.
And Tom Brady has been in the league for 27 years. So
Right.
it's he's the oldest guy out there, but he's still
Exactly.
tearing people apart just because he knows he doesn't have to be the fastest, doesn't have to have the
Yep.
strongest arm, but he just knows where, okay, the defense is going to go this way.
Exactly.
Because you've just seen it a million times.
And just doing just focusing on your portion of the job. Yeah, I think it's the 10,000 hours thing, which I think
yeah.
is why. So for more context, for those of you who are listening, to get your CrossFit level 3, you have to have 750 coaching hours. It used to be 1,000, they bumped it down, but obviously 750 is nowhere near that 10,000 hour golden rule. But I do think that it's cool to see that number, you've coached that many hours, and it just, it's literally just reps under your belt.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much new things you see after 750 hours.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I do think it would be cool to get an adaptive athlete, or because I don't have experience with that, and just to see those new situations. And I also think it's interesting when you kind of step outside the walls of your own gym. We all get so comfortable in our own environments.
Yeah.
But just seeing different athletes and different styles of workouts that you're not used to coaching. I think that's where you get really uncomfortable, but you grow so much, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like skiing this past weekend for you.
Oh my goodness. Kiana and I only fell, 2 times, 3 times? So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah. Came a long way.
Yeah.
But you had a good coach. You had a
Yeah.
lesson with a good coach who probably had 750 hours of ski instruction.
He told me he had been coaching skiing for like 10 years and he had been skiing for like 64 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, wild. I don't know.
I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, maybe one day when I'm like 70, you know, whatever, do the math.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I've been coaching for 50 years.
You should get like a shirt from CrossFit. You should have Noble create shirts for like coaching CrossFit for more than 20
That would be
years.
so cool.
That'd be kind of cool.
Well, I will say, all of the best coaches that I've had, I love asking people how long they've been coaching, and the best coaches, the answer is always like at least 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's the golden.
It is. It's something about that time where
Right.
it just starts to click. It's so weird. It's
you-
almost like college where it's like after like the 2 or 3 years, you're like, all right, I think I got this down
Right.
now.
And then it's like, oh, just kidding. You need to figure out the
Yeah, now you're
world.
welcome to the real world. So
Well, you've been coaching baseball for 7 years?
yeah, this will be my 7th.
Okay.
In the first year, I was a borderline asshole.
What
Not
do
an
you
asshole,
mean?
but it was like I demanded so highly of myself for my like playing career
Right.
that I demanded so highly of myself out of my.
Right.
So I was like, why don't you know that? Why is that not going? And now I'm
Right.
like, all right, how can I teach this? And how can I equip them in their mentality to be like, okay, this is actually what I should have done. And it's like,
Right.
you know, how can I help them learn instead of being like, why didn't you do that?
Right.
So it is a level up, but now I'm so comfortable coaching that it's to the point where it's enjoyable. Like,
Right. Do you, like, how do you kind of take yourself back? Because how long have you been playing for?
since I was 4.
Since you were 4. So, like, how do you take yourself back to the beginner stages, you know, like over 20 years, basically?
I don't know. It sucks. I hate that feeling.
Yeah.
Like when I joined CrossFit last year, like being a beginner at anything,
Sucks.
especially for a quasi-perfectionist, is
Yes.
the most frustrating thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, at baseball, like I didn't make the minors, like I didn't get drafted, like I didn't play Division I, but it's like for where I was
Right.
pretty elite, like top of the food chain.
Yep.
And then you go to CrossFit, it's like you can't do any of the thing that this, like there's older people in our gym that are phenomenal, like wow, like you can still do that, like
Yeah.
it's inspirational. I'm like, I can't even do a pull up, and that guy's 60, just banging out like 20 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think, like, I've definitely had that experience. Like, I think that CrossFit was probably my biggest experience with that, I would say, actually, because, I mean, like, my experience with field hockey and basketball was not, I did not excel, like, past the high school level. So, I think, yeah, walking into a gym, first of all, CrossFit's super intimidating, as you know,
Yes.
in general. And then you walk in, and, like, what I expected was literally, like, you know, just people without their shirts on, and like, which is what you get a little bit, but like the majority of it is, you know, moms and dads and, you know, grandparents who are just absolutely crushing it, and it's inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's completely different coming from like a Globo
Yeah.
bodybuilding gym too.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm trying to lift more than that guy.
Right.
But it's like, no, CrossFit's like a community family. It's like,
For sure.
let's cheer on each other.
Right.
It was so weird. It was just like,
So weird.
It was a different world.
Well, now it's like I'm trying to lift more than this person, but I also am really good friends with them, so
Yeah.
I'll cheer them on after I beat them. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. I mean, it is like that sometimes, but sometimes you need that push, except for CrossFit. Like some of the workouts freaking suck.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I mean, like, doing workouts next to people who are better than you, like, I go so much faster
yeah.
than I would do it by myself.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
All right. What's our plans for the future? Your plans for the future?
Yeah. Well, I know you've talked about the gym on the podcast.
I have brought up shortly.
So yeah, I mean, I think like for us, like I've always really kind of wanted a leadership and ownership role. I think that's kind of just the way that I work in general, like whether it's at work or in sports and that sort of thing. So I'm so excited to be able to kind of start something with you guys, you know, with some of my best friends. I think that it's just really exciting to just like do something and not know what the heck you're doing, but you don't have to answer to anyone else. And it's kind of just like, you know, make it up as you go.
Yeah, well, startups for
Yeah.
sure. Like, we're not buying a business or starting from scratch.
Right.
It's scary. It's scary for sure.
It's scary, but I think that the payoff is gonna be so huge for us.
Yeah.
in the end. And I think that I'm so passionate about coaching in general. One of the things that I would really love to do, 5-10 years down the line is, once we're kind of an established gym, is like really use our gym as a way to propel other coaches upwards, because this industry, I mean, you look at where we're at right now with like the public health crises that are going on, like the pandemic, obesity, all of these things. For whatever reason, health coaching is not valued at what it should be. And I think we're going to see, hopefully within the next, 10, 15 years, coaches who can make a professional living in more instances, not just in city centers and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Who are able to have a salary and then, also save up and have a 401k and benefit. So I think that's something that I would really love to pursue, is like, once we're in a position to do it, just coaching coaches up, I guess, and giving them a more straightforward pathway to success. But yeah, God, I mean, there's so many different answers I can give to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, coaching is, when you're coaching a class, is a lot different than coaching a coach, because like a
For
coach
sure.
is going to go out there and have influence on people.
Right.
Whereas like if you're coaching an athlete, like they'll have influence on their friends, be like, yeah, Kayla's an awesome coach. She coaches at the lab. Like, you should
Right.
definitely come join or take a class with her.
Right.
But if you're coaching a coach, like, it's like, that coach is like, I'm being mentored by Kayla. And
Right.
She's awesome.
Right.
Like, that inspires. It's a so much wider reach. Like, I'm thinking as like a
Yeah.
family tree almost.
Yeah.
Like, if you're at the top and then you teach 4 coaches and they're got 4 athletes underneath them, it spreads a way wider net.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I don't I'm nowhere near the point where I should be coaching other coaches, because I'm still on that journey myself. But, I've had a lot of awesome mentors who do kind of do that. And I think that, going back to kind of certifications and that sort of thing, I don't think that certifications make a good coach, but I think that they give legitimacy to people who want to level up and eventually, train the trainers, coach the coaches.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would love to. I'm also just such a nerd, Colin. Like, me. Like, I would love to get every certification, like CSCS in the future, maybe. So yeah, lots to learn.
It's a lot on the plate for 10 years.
Oh, yeah, for 10 years, sheesh.
But if you do one of them a year and you have 10 things, I guess that's
Yeah, exactly.
achievable.
I mean, all I do right now to study for my level 3 is read. So, like, basically for the level 3, you have your hours, and then also it's like you have to read all these resources, and it's super daunting, but like, I literally just read 1 article a day, and it's super manageable. So, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, there's something to be said for breaking everything into smaller parts.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look at 750 hours and you're like, that's a lot of freaking hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, all right, well, if I do 5 classes a week, like,
Right.
what's that math?
Yeah.
I'm not good at math.
No, I don't know. I can't do that.
But I think it'd be 150 weeks.
150, which isn't that long in the grand scheme of things.
No, well, actually, it's almost 3 years. But you've almost been coaching for 3 years, so
Yeah.
that's why you're close.
Exactly.
Time flies when you're having fun, too.
Time flies. That's honestly, like, I always just say to myself, like, whether you do this or you don't do this, we're gonna be here 6 months from now. Like,
Yep.
what have you done with it?
Yep.
So,
That's the exciting part, I think, about starting our
Yeah.
gym. It's like, all right, if it works, which we think it will, then that'll be awesome. If it doesn't work, we had a shot, we learned something, and maybe we can pivot and take it somewhere else.
for sure. I mean, I think 10 years from now, we're gonna have a freaking compound
I would
with
love
everything. Like, we're gonna be sitting in the sauna every day. Getting
Yeah, catch us at
cryotherapy.
5 a.m. Well, maybe not you guys. But catch me at 5 a.m. in my ice bath before I teach a class.
Outside in the snow.
Yeah, that'd be so fun.
No, I'm pumped. I think, like, also just, like, I mean, super grateful. I mean, again, I'm a nerd. I always tell everyone how grateful I am for them. But, like, grateful that that we share kind of, like, the same goals. Because I can't think of any other people right now, if I went up to them and were like, hey, let's start a gym. Like, I don't think anyone would do it with me. So,
Yeah.
like, you guys are stuck with me.
It's fine. You do all the calling. Like,
I do all the calling.
and it's all, you're like so valuable, but it's like like we talked about, you were at the beginnings of Noble, so you obviously understand to some degree what it's like to be on a startup that ultimately is successful. Like the grunt work that kind of has to be done. You at least saw it.
Oh, I love grunt work. Like literally, like I think like grinding and just being gritty. Like I love that word, being gritty. Just
Being gritty
makes me so happy. I think like I always like in the early days of Noble, which I definitely burned myself out on a little bit, but I was like, I literally am going to be the person who like can just like sit in front of these customer service emails and just like bang them out all day. And like that's like that was my avenue to like growing within the company, was literally just outworking other people.
Yeah.
I literally, when I'm on the rower at the gym, I'm like, okay, cool, if this person goes the same speed as me, I'm still gonna last longer than them. Which isn't true, but like it's just a mental thing you tell yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pump yourself up some way.
Exactly.
Especially on a rower and assault bike.
Yeah. Good, love the assault bike. Shout out to Assault Fitness.
Sometimes it sounds like Kayla might take off with the assault bike. It's going so fast.
No. It's funny. I think like, you know, like as you start CrossFit, like when you first start CrossFit, you're not good at anything and you don't like anything because it's so hard.
Yeah.
And then like as you start to figure out what you like, it's so exciting because I mean for me, like no one likes the assault bike, but I'm like,
yes, I love that fact.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm like. That's the same thing as being gritty.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can be on the assault bike next to me, I'm beating you.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's me on the rower.
Yeah,
I have a
exactly.
huge advantage because I'm tall, but
Yeah,
it's
well,
still like if I say a workout with a rower or in a deadlift, like I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't care what else is in it.
100%.
And then it's like with burpees, like,
You're like, yeah, I'm
I think
good.
my ankle might hurt today.
Strict pull-ups. I ate an extra hamburger last night.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. So, word of advice to join CrossFit.
Oh.
Maybe just let's touch on that before we wrap up, because I feel like CrossFit is like people are maybe not scared, but I don't know if people fully grasp the concept of like what actually happens. I think they just see like they still have this mentality of OG days of CrossFit where like people were getting injured or you know like things that were negative news came out, but I don't think it's like that anymore.
No, not at all. I think like word of advice for joining CrossFit, literally like just join and then do your best to make friends with the people in your gym. And like they'll make friends with you anyways, but like in reality CrossFit is, and really like any strength and conditioning coaching, is the best way for you to be healthy and, you know, feel good for the next 80 plus years. And you're like, I truly believe you're not going to get that by trying to figure it out by yourself at a Globo gym. So yeah, just have an open mind. Do things that are really freaking hard. It's never going to get easier. You're just going to get better. And yeah, I mean, I think once people join, you usually love it.
Yeah. I mean, the community itself makes you want to come back because you do make friends. I mean,
for sure.
All of us met at the CrossFit gym. And
all my friends are CrossFit
we're starting a friggin' business together. So.
Yeah. I literally I can think of maybe 2 friends who are not CrossFit related.
Yeah.
And my college friends are doing CrossFit now too, so it spreads.
It does. It really does spread.
It's a disease. Just kidding.
So, I think like people at our age also like don't do CrossFit. Like they're still want to like, I just want to get ripped and chiseled and I want to be the biggest, strongest. And then I think they kind of, like you said, there's a lot of moms and dads that kind of move into it.
For sure.
Because you get a lot of bang for your buck with CrossFit. You get the cardio and the strength training.
Realistically, if you were doing personal training with what we did in CrossFit, you would pay like, you know, over $1,000 a month. Yeah. But like, so like memberships are definitely the best value that you could ever have. Yeah. And it's more fun.
It is way more fun that way.
Yeah.
It's way more fun to suffer with people than by yourself.
Oh, absolutely. If, you know, a few people in our gym, like if, again, like assault bike or like skier, like I would never go to that level if I wasn't around other people. So, yeah.
Well, Kayla, it's been real.
It's been real.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be on again at some point.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, recording.
Of course, anytime.
And that's it.
We out.
Thank you, folks. We'll see you next week.
How much of a factor does your physical health play into your mental health?
What's our plans for the future? Your plans for the future?
One piece of advice you could give to everyone in the world, what do you think it would be?
This is Spitballin with Colin.